I hope a bit of a discussion about the, future of civic engagement and citizen participation, and how technology is sort of involved in that, and what part it plays. So maybe if I just start off by sort of outlining sort of two of the sort of, I guess, big ideas that we have been working on and are sort of on our roadmap, and we really hope to be able to move on to develop in the coming months and years. One is that what we've seen is that sometimes proposals from citizens, they have quite a range of sort of in terms of quality of the proposals. Sometimes we get proposals that have, there's obviously a good intent behind them, but they are not formulated in a way that is sort of compatible with government, if you like. So one of the things that we've been working on designing is to have a sort of AI-driven proposal assistance. So in the local context, when you're making a proposal for, let's say, something in a participatory budgeting project or a policy project, like about the education policy or something, is that while you're writing your proposal, then you will have artificial intelligence that will help you to bring in information like planning information and so on, will help you even to sort of make sure that you have your facts straight, in that response. So help to sort of democratize sort of knowing how to present information to government that's useful to government, that is likely for government to respond to. So that's one approach in terms of it's sort of an extensions of detecting toxicity. We can detect many other things with artificial intelligence, machine learning algorithms, and ultimately sort of continue down the road of specifically thinking about how technology can improve the deliberation. And that's, compared to, for example, as often mentioned, like social media platforms that are driven by the need to maximize engagement to sell advertisement. The benefit of thinking about civic tech platforms like this, like with the sense that the only design imperative is that it's constructive, that it's good for society, that it has benefit to government, that it actually helps to make better decisions. That's sort of one stream of thought in terms of how civic engagement, can improve from using machine learning, artificial intelligence algorithms. And another idea that we've also been looking at, and we'd really like to implement is that. So as we worked with the University of Iceland and and learned a lot from those projects, for example, about citizen assemblies and deliberative polls, we'd like to create a sort of an online version of deliberative polls where we would have, not necessarily only 300 people, we could have 30,000 people or 300,000 people that could take part, where we would then have AI algorithms that would then automatically assign all those people into different groups, where they would deliberate in groups of 10 or 15 or something like that, using video, like asynchronous video, maybe even leaving video comments and maybe even just text, and then use machine learning also then to help to make sense of all the feedback, but sort of try to replicate the great ideas of more of a sort of a small group face-to-face discussion, on a bit of a larger scale, and then also use sort of machine learning algorithms to help to automatically create groups that have different set of ideas and even different set of values, I did to say, so each of the group would not be just a monotonous, group of people with the same ideas, but so that's one area sort of research and that we've been looking at, and just finally from me, and I know you're probably all quite tired. It's been a long day, but I hope, to get some, if you want to, give some points on the subject of the future of, civic engagement online and offline. But the final, point I'm gonna address is question from Elisa on how worried we should be about privatization of our democratic infrastructure. So, I mean, I have nothing against companies that are, selling, those sort of democratic platforms to governments. I think that's a totally valid thing to do. I don't agree with it. I think that it's because the reason why I don't agree with it is that, the governments are going through a lot of digital transformations at the moment, and they tend to be working like where, things tend to be outsourced. There tends to be a tendering process, and then, the company that wins the tender, then they do the work. And I think that, because that's the easy option. That's what you do. Oh, you want to have a democratic, you want to have two participatory budgeting. You do a tender, and you get companies to bid for it, and But I think that what governments maybe are not fully aware of is the power of the tech platforms, in terms of the power of the design of the tech platforms, how much they matter to the actual end results decision making. And I think, this argument, we've been making this argument for, since we started, for 12 years. I'm an entrepreneur. I've nothing against making money, and I actually have a small fintech, like a financial technology consultancy on the side that's basically been bankrolling the Citizens Foundation since its start. We have clients with banks and so on. So ideologically, I love making money, and I think that's great. I think that's nothing wrong with that. But I think we're just at a really bit of a delicate place. And I think this argument has become easier to sort of sell the past 2-3 years, when people have been becoming more aware of sort of the hidden dangers of how we have quickly allowed our public squares to be privatized in a context which is basically to sell ads, and certainly the most powerful companies in the world they're selling ads. I mean, ads are important in life for sure. Don't get me wrong. It's really important. And we use ads. I mean, if we wouldn't have those ad platforms, we would not have those mass participation. So I totally agree with ads are important, but they are not really the end and beginning of everything. And we talk about the digital transformation of democracy, then we really don't want to end up a situation where basically the Googles and Facebooks and the future of those are basically running the physical infrastructure of our democracy. That's sort of our vision, and I think it's but competing ideas and competing visions about that, we see nothing wrong with that. It's all a marketplace of ideas, if you like. So please, now I've talked enough. I will answer questions though, but please, yeah.
I just had a little point on what you just said right now.
Sure.
It's true that like when you open tenders, then you get like technological companies, tech companies like running for these tenders and maybe winning. But like compared to, maybe there are some, I don't know, there are some companies, maybe they sell the tech, but I think you do much more, like as in Citizens Foundation, because you have a long-standing experience and you don't only sell the tech, you also, sell the tech. You don't only, propose the tech, you also propose the experience that you've had and what makes that tech as a means successful for a democratic process or not.
Sure.
So I think that this actually like hinders a democratic process if someone is just focused on selling the tech without really caring about the democratic process itself. And does that come in mind as a challenge to you for democracy, or you think it's, I don't know?
Yeah, and I think we have encountered and there's a bit of a danger what we call like a window dressing democracy, where citizens pressure politicians about more participation, and then the politicians, put the, requirement on civil services to set up a participation. And then, everybody takes their boxes, all the participation is done. but the projects don't really reach people, you know, or even worse, they reach a lot of people. They have a big advertisement campaign, but then nothing is done with the feedback, you know. So absolutely right. I mean, the technology and the platforms are really not, you know, they are not the beginning or end of anything. They're just a tool. They're just a facilitating tool. But still, you know, the design and the intent of the technology, I think that government must not underestimate the power the designs of those platforms has, you know, in terms of how much influence it can give, you know, the organization that's running the platform, if it's Google or Facebook. I remember, I mean, one of the big examples, like in 2014, then Facebook was about to launch Facebook Cities, which is supposed to be like Facebook at work, but for cities. Basically, it would be like the participatory platform of your city, and would all be like Facebook, you know, just like, you know, you would, you know, be free for cities to use, you know. And we have even saw a presentation about this, and we thought like, oh, you know, that's not what we want to see. But then Facebook, other problems started to pile up, so they never launched this. So it's you know, it's a, you know, it's a question like that. But as I say, we have nothing against anybody doing experiments in this area. So please go ahead, Louis.
So I'm not sure if Simon wants to intervene.
Simon, you
yes.
Either one.
I'll be quite brief. First of all, congratulations, Robert, for this really interesting study visit, and all the speakers were great. So really nice program. I learned also some new things. What would be my comment is kind of on the sort of the follow up, and now we are now going to work on the code project. 20 years ago, when I started, firstly with e-participation projects, there was on one hand a lot of demand for participation, but the supply for the online tools was quite low. So you could easily do some project with simple PHP forums, online petitions as we started. But now I see for the last years, also with the rise of the civic tech, we have more and more supply with different online tools, a lot of online tools, but the demand for participation really didn't increase. And also now we're having this match. And what I'm concerned is that there's going to be an overflow of different online tools from different online non-profit and profit. And what we have to do, we as a kind of non-profit NGO community, which is having experience with this, we have to set some standards for the future, what is working and what is not working. And part of these are also evaluation frameworks. I can see from past year also that these evaluation frameworks are being now developed, but still looking at different reports of so-called reports showing a list of good cases, good practices. Mostly there are self-sponsored descriptions of the people who are doing these applications and projects, and they describe how they are successful. So that there's no external impartial evaluation of real impacts of these projects. And to close my thoughts, I have is that maybe we should start thinking about creating a quality label for e-participation, civic tech e-participation on the European level, based on the experience, know-how that we have from different countries, from different organizations. And this label would be put on the projects which are really good practices. And this is something, because I see in your cases, you have a number of projects, but not all are equally successful. Let's be honest. And maybe these good practices would really move things forward in terms of the quality, not the quantity of the e-participation. Maybe this code project could bring a further step in this direction also when we are going working this framework.
I agree with you, Simon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just really quickly on that, I'm not going to dominate the discussion, but that, yes, absolutely. And there have been some interesting experiments. For example, we have been working with the Council of Europe as a part of the World Forum for Democracy project on a participatory democracy index, for example, sort of outlining and trying to get some, get some thoughts around this. There's been several other projects like this, and I really hope one of them really succeeds. But I guess it's like one of those things where, you know, everybody thinks it's a good, thinks it's a good idea, but who should do it? Who should do all the paperwork, and who should, or like what I call paperwork, but you know, like who should do the organizations around it, and so on. And I think, I mean, I don't know exactly. I haven't heard you know, for at least a year about the democracy incubator of the World Bank, no, of the Council for Europe, but I'll definitely take a look at that. That's, you know, something I can send you some information about, Simon, actually, you know, because this is actually in that sort of an idea in that way. And then just quickly on the demand side for participation. So we have a simple model for gauging the demand side. So we advertise, we get people doing things, we advertise more, and when more people come in, we advertise even more, and there's more people. And when we stop advertising, when with the advertising money, we spend more advertising money, we stop getting people, then it means that the participation is, you know, the demand side has been exhausted. We haven't seen that yet in terms of the more money we spend, the more people participate. The main problem is that people just don't know about those projects because it's so hard to get people's attention today. Anyway, Luis.
Yeah. So again, I made my presentation during the kickoff meeting, but again, we are a business, so we are a company. We are not a non-profit. So everything we do, of course, it's split until we reach the money aspect. But also, I must admit that in this specific field, and please keep in mind that most of our work is something that we do for joy in the participation part aspect of what we do, not for the money, and that's 100% for sure, because we do almost no money here. What I must admit is that I completely agree. So this participation should be managed by NGOs and experts. So I have been around the participation for 6-7 years and managed several participatory processes. But I still don't see myself as an expert at all. And I always, that's something that I have identified, which is something I only feel comfortable when I'm working on participatory processes with an NGO that is an expert. So we have managed many, but I don't do any, or I don't manage any process which I don't have, for example, Nelson Diaz or Giovanni, or we work with NGOs in Spain, NGOs in Italy, because as Robert, as you said, for me, technology here is just to help. It's not the beginning, not the end, and it's something, okay, today I wouldn't say completely superfluous, but it's something that outside of COVID, we could completely be without it. I don't believe, in my personal opinion, that we bring more quality to the processes. Probably we bring more numbers, which I still need to see someone to confirm that that means quality. And this is my personal view. I also discuss, and in Portugal, we have a couple of companies, and we have dealt also in other partnerships with companies that do live with participation as a focus, and they resell their tools always the same, always the same thing. And I don't believe that many of those processes are well implemented, because when I discuss the characteristics of the models, how the filtering is done, how the technical analysis of the ideas and proposals and everything is done, I don't see a reasoning behind. I see that the tool only supports this, then this is how it's going to be done. And if I can, in all the processes that we do, what services we do charge for is all the customization, and everything that we have done, except some minor processes, are completely different from one and the other. And And again, I don't see us as a company that works on participation. I see us more as a subcontracting technical company to implement what someone else has decided for. So this is just one comment regard to that, which I think strengthens a little bit your perspective. The second comment, and I'm not sure if you know, in Portugal, and this is led by Nelson Dias, there is an evaluation of participatory processes. So I'm not sure how many we have in the country, but in a small country like Portugal, I think we are almost in 200 PV processes every year. The evaluation is exactly the same as we discussed before. So it's always the same thing. So there is no value to anyone. It's just to say that, oh, we have a PV process, so everyone is happy, but no one knows the process. No project is implemented, and the citizens just get tired of it. And Nelson created an evaluation process. There are some prizes. So he even created a network of municipalities to join in, and there are some nice things that he has done. I'm not sure if any of you knows it, but you can contact him, or if you want, I can make the connection. I assume that most of you at least know who is Nelson Dias, but just to leave that note.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely, that would be great to get the connection. And yes, I mean, we are, I think that makes a lot of sense, in terms of your model to work with NGOs, and I think that, and as I say, we are absolutely have no sort of a Puritan view on only open source or only, not profit, but the core of sort of operating those projects and really sort of representing the citizens. I think that's best left to NGOs. I mean, for example, your priorities already depends on, and we use Google Translate API for the backend. It's totally a commercial product. The same with the Perspective API for the toxicity. So we are very much, it's all about being practical. That's how those projects have been happening. And I know you are a university, come out of the university environment, and many of those sort of ideas come out of that environment. And number one is to do things that are practical and that work, but definitely not end up where we outsource a democracy to Google or Facebook or something like that. That's sort of but obviously we need to be flexible and practical with all of this. So who is next? Manapas, Anya? Or?
Yes, I wanted to shortly comment on this discussion around the commercialization of the platforms and what of what we do. What I wanted to mention, and there is another way, another also model how to work, and actually our organization, we are leaning more and more towards it, and it is basically civic entrepreneurship. We from the time being, we value extremely highly the independence we could have, and financial sustainability. In terms of at one point we want to be fully financially sustainable, and not be dependent from external contracts, EU contracts, local contracts, etc. And what we do, we also diverse the services we can propose to either organizations or parties or whichever need them, and if we get some kind of profit out of it, by selling these services, we are putting back as an investment for our organization, so we can build more and more stronger platforms and put the investment into the development of our organization. And I think this is extremely wonderful benefit if you do find a way how to make a profit, even in the organization, and put it in as an investment. So it's not just black or white, because this independence also gives us a lot of opportunities to experiment with the ways how we do things, with the platforms, with the solution, and it's a great feeling. And it's also, and I believe personally that if you do what you love and you get paid and you can earn from it, that's also like wonderful.
For sure, absolutely, yeah, totally agree, and absolutely flexibility, and that's what it need to be. I mean, absolutely, as you said already, it's never black and white either. You know, it needs to be something that's practical, but that doesn't lead us down to the road of a totally commercialized democratic world. Manapals or Simon or Flavio? Oh. Yeah, please.
All right, just to respond to Lish about this quality measurement. And well, actually, my voice here in Latvia, it is especially evaluated, especially because very high and measurable efficiency and quality. And that's what politicians and other stakeholders here love about us, that it is high quality civic participation. And we manage it through our quality criteria, that not everything gets published. Actually, on our platform, we publish slightly under 40% only of what we get of those civic petitions. That's one. And talking about this quality certificate or something, this measurement, it's really important. And those standards, we should work on them and establish them somehow, and then as official as good, I would say. Yeah. But and in Latvia, we have very strong that measurement. It's only implemented legislation. And since 2011, we have 36 laws implemented, in nationwide national laws, including a constitutional change. So that's also has happened. So it is doable, and it is really, really measurable. Yeah, thank you.
Great. Anybody else? So the floor is open. No? Going once, twice, thrice? No, joking. So I mean, if there's no more questions, I'm happy to hear comments, but yeah. So please let me know. But if there's no more questions, it's been a long day already. It's and we are 10 minutes away from the official close. But just let me know. We can also just end a bit early. It's been, as I say, it's almost 4 hours.
I think we're fine, Robert. Thanks a lot. It was really inspirational, and thanks a lot to all the speakers for really touching on all these projects and interesting points, because it was very much needed. I guess this was really a real study visit, almost as in a real person.
Maybe Robert, we discussed a lot about the supply side at the end of this meeting, but you also touched demand side. We said this advertisement and getting citizens on board. But anyway, maybe we should have another discussion also on this one, because I saw this case that when you invested $40,000 US to get 1,000 people to crowdsource your not legislation, but constitution, sorry. So meaning that you actually invested $40 per person to get there. So maybe it will also be interesting to enhance participation, but actually it's a controversial idea to actually to support financially, to pay people for actually getting on board for some compensation for their time, their knowledge. So there are also some discussions going on. It's not only just to be active citizenship, to have this drive in yourself, your responsibility, go there and so on. It's also, we have to also be realistic that being active active citizen is not always a simple task. With all the things that you have with your family and your job, and also and all other activities, and especially when there are complex issues on the agenda, when you just can't throw something and say, look, this is my opinion, but of course on this initial stage, but when you go deeper and deeper, and then you have more and more expert discussion, I'm just throwing on the agenda how to help citizens to be better equipped to develop their capacities, not only to know where to click on this platform, make it user-friendly, this is okay, but actually building their capacities, making them easier to engage. And I think your gamification was already this way, how we can support them, but maybe also getting some other incentive they can use, that they will just not give to the participatory project, but that the participatory project will actually enrich them, enhance their whatever capacity. So not only that they will see their voice into the legislation or the constitution, but that they will also grow as a people, as a person. So this, I would say, more classic understanding of what is the democracy, for democracy as a tool to get people better, to be better people. Yeah.
Absolutely, great ideas, and I think that you know, there's nothing wrong with paying participants to participate. And I mean, you know, it's a sort of almost as an extension of you know, it is, we call it civic work actually in our presentation. I mean, it is work, you know, it's a part of working for the community, and you know, obviously people are often volunteering the time, but there's nothing wrong with also paying people. And it's an interesting case you mentioned, you know, so the $40,000 that got 39,000 people to the website, and then close to 1,100 participated out of that, and that's for the Constitution crowdsourcing. And so obviously the people who did not log on and leave a comment or an idea, you know, they are still sort of participants, you know, so still it's like more maybe like $1 per participants. But, you know, think about this though, for the participatory budgeting project for the My District, it was probably about $25,000 that were spent on showing ads. They spent also probably another 10, 20 on creating the ads with the actors and everything. But that brought in, so those 20, let's say 20,000 in ad buys, that brought in 70,000 people, you know, to the My District project, where 10,600 logged in. So it's a huge difference on the subject of participatory budgeting on the one side, and then on crowdsourcing and constitution on the other side. And it's not surprising, I think, in terms of that, you know, and especially with the culture in Reykjavik, having done this project over 10 years, people know it, they walk around in the street, they see the things that have been built, you know, they have voted on some things that they appear, they're even built out of concrete, all very concrete, compared to something that's much more abstract in a way, you know, which is the Constitution, it changes, you know. And also I was still really pleased that we did manage to get so many people to participate directly, but also the benefit for society, for all the people who did not log in, but did look at the ideas, that looked at the, you know, and made them aware. And that's well over like 10, 15% of the population in this case. So what you spent on marketing, you know, has different value, you know, depending on what sort of the project is, but it always has the value of, you know, all the 70,000 people who visited the website, you know, in the My District, they know a lot more about what's going on in the city than those 40,000 that didn't visit the website, you know. So, you know, and it's you know, so it's a huge value for society in that, and also on the crowdsourcing side, it's but yeah, it's always we've seen this as a you know, over the years, is that it's become participatory budgeting is the easiest to promote because it is nearest to people. They're asking people about something in the street, but then the hardest project we have had, well, the hardest project to advertise in terms of getting you know, people interested, you know, has been the constitution making. In the middle, we have like the education policy for the city. You know, it was not as hard to, you know, promote as the constitution crowdsourcing, but it was not as easy to promote as the participatory budgeting either. I mean, there was a lot of people interested in the education policy, you know, and so on. But so there's this range anyway. So, but yeah, but great points for sure, Simon. Anybody else? Some final words? No? Well, in that case, I just want to thank you all for being here, and I hope I didn't leave some questions in the chat that I didn't answer. I've read the comments. I think if there are any questions that I didn't answer there that I missed, please just send them to me on email. But all right, so we'll say goodbye for now.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye, guys. Thanks a lot, Robert.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Everybody. Bye-bye.